Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Itipi so bhagava araham samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarathi Sattha deva manussanam buddho bhagavati. Friends and children in the Dhamma, welcome for the Saturday Dhamma talk. This is a series of talks based on the 9 epithets of the Buddha. So far we have completed up to Lokavidu, the knower of the worlds. Today our topic is Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarathi, incomparable leader of beings who could tame others. Now taming or bringing them to the right path is what the Buddha did for 45 years. After his enlightenment until his passing away. Because as a whole, the worldlings, the beings in this world, including the divine beings, the Brahmas as well as the human beings, we are all wavered from the Nibbana. We are all engulfed in the cycle of birth and death. So Buddha's duty is to pull us out from this submerged level of suffering into the reality, into the truth. So it is, as a whole, the taming that the Buddha did for 45 years. Bringing out all those distracted, all those who have gone astray, who have lost the path to the correct path, to the right path. That is what the Buddha did. It was his duty. It was his mission. So, Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarathi, as a common explanation, is to bring those distracted people to the right direction, to the correct direction, which is leading to the liberation from their suffering, from our suffering. If we are to suffer in this present life, it means that we are on the wrong direction, that we are going towards the wrong goal, wrong aim. The direction of the Buddha is to minimize this suffering on its every step on the path, and ultimately, on the goal, all suffering is gone. Our direction is bringing us more suffering. Day by day, we are generating, we are creating more stress, more worries, more depression within us because our direction is wrong. Buddha's direction is minimizing, reducing our stress level, our suffering, and our direction is increasing our depression, increasing our stress level. So we are on the wrong track. We are distracted. So Buddha is the one who pulled us out from this wrong direction to the right one. Therefore, let's look at the way the Buddha helped the people to come out of the bondages, come out of the wrong path to the liberation, to the right path. Now, Anuttara Purisa Dhammasarathi usually explains the way the Buddha tamed those people who are considered to be untamable, impossible to be tamed. They have adopted all sorts of wicked, cruel, violent, arrogant, all sorts of extreme characteristics to their lives, extreme kind of wickedness, cruelty, and arrogant, or cunningness to their lives, and they have made it impossible for anyone to reach them or anyone to even to talk to them, anyone to tame them. So the other worldlings, other fellows of the humanity at that time thought, these people must be wiped out from the society. These people who torture others, disturb others, who are disastrous for the society they live, must be killed, must be imprisoned, must be suppressed, putting in the prisons. Now, even today, that is what we are doing. Those people who are so-called harmful to the society, who are disastrous for the world, for the serenity, calm, quietness, to the peace of the world, we want them to be hanged, or even to be killed, to be destroyed, or to put in the prison for life without ever letting them come out. This is how we are trying to tame those who are violent, being more violent, being dominant, being more powerful than them. We want to tame them, using more physical, political, or military, authoritative power. We are using those kind of external forces we have to surrender them, to suppress them, to destroy them. But Buddha says, how about those people? If you look at them from their point of view, it is not the justifiable for them. In the Buddha's point of view, a criminal in the prison and the criminal who is out of the prison, that means we are all together, are nothing but people who are asleep. His example is, now at night, in the middle of the night, if somebody wake up from his sleep, he is sleeping with thousands of people or hundreds of people around him, he wakes up, then he watches the people who are sleeping around him. Some are laughing, some are crying, some are shouting at some people who are invisible, some are being angry, some are being sad, some are being fearful, worried. When he look at those kinds of abnormal behavior of those sleeping people, does he get angry because somebody is angry? Does he get sad? Does he become sad because somebody is sad? Will he laugh because somebody is laughing? He won't react to any of those activities of the people who are sleeping, because he knows those activities, abnormal, retarded activities, are happening in their sleep because of their depth of the sleep. Once they wake up, those abnormal, wicked, cruel, or good or bad, doesn't matter, all the activities which are happening in their sleep is over once they wake up. So what is the point of getting angry or sad or even happy for the actions they do in their sleep? Once they wake up, all those abnormal activities are gone. Buddha is the woken up. Buddha is the awakened one. If the Buddha is the awakened one, we are all fast asleep. We are the sleeping ones. What is our sleep? Our sleep is our defilements. Our anger is our sleep. Our desires, our sleep. Our hate, our jealousy, our enviousness, our craving, our ego, our pride, all these are nothing but our sleep in the eyes of the Buddha. These defilements just make us oblivious to the reality, oblivious to the truth. Hence, these defilements are called our sleep. In that sleep, in this sleep created by the defilements, our behavior becomes abnormal, retarded. Hence, we are controlled by anger. Hence, we are controlled by our jealousy. Because we are asleep, anger is in the action. Jealousy is in the action. Desires are in the action. Because we are asleep. If we are awake, then we see the reality. Then the anger cannot make us act according to the anger. Jealousy cannot control us. We control the jealousy because we see the reality. So in the Buddha's eyes, everybody is fast asleep. In that deep sleepiness, they do all sorts of things. And some people, they can't have even an iota of control of their action. They are completely controlled by their defilements. For example, anger. Most of us, when we get angry, we have some kind of awareness of our anger. That is why we have all sorts of inclination to kill, to steal, to destroy. We have those inclinations. The murderers in the prison and the murderers outside is two different just because murderers inside the prison couldn't control their tendency to kill. Murderers outside, they are not yet criminals because they can control their tendency to kill, but otherwise the tendency is just the same. We have that tendency, but that tendency is controlled by our little bit of consciousness, little bit of awareness. Just like the tip of the iceberg, we have that consciousness. Hence we can control ourselves without letting our defilements to control us totally. Yeah. But our sleep is just the same. Our defilements are just the same. That is why Buddha says we have to be more pitiful, more compassionate towards the people who couldn't control their defilements, towards the people who were labeled as criminals, as wicked, cruel, violent type of individuals. And the other fellow of the humanity, they feel very good when somebody else is doing the criminal activity. When somebody else is doing something bad, others feel good. Others can feel good about themselves. Yeah. In the society, you can find in all the levels of society, you can find this. When others doing bad, doing wrong, or others getting failed, others getting the bad remarks or bad name, somebody else is becoming happy because they feel good. They feel good about themselves because others getting the bad name. But remember, we have to remember, there is nothing to be feeling good about it, because we all have the same latent tendencies, same inclinations sleeping within us. Only somebody else couldn't control it. We could control it, but who knows, one day we will not be able to control it. Today we can control our anger, but who knows, tomorrow something severe happens and you cannot control it. Then what happens? You and that criminal will be in the same boat. So how can you look down upon a criminal thinking that you are a noble, that you are a saint? Nobody can look down upon anybody else, because we are all in the same ship, same boat, same category. Yeah, we are all fast asleep. Only the awakened one, only the Buddha could see this. That is why Buddha's compassion, Buddha's patience towards the people was infinite, because everybody else is fast asleep. Whatever they do, no effect on the Buddha, because they are doing it in their sleep. Why should I be worried? Why should I get disturbed by the actions done by the sleepy people? So this is, we have to understand, in the Buddha's eyes, all those who are non-liberated, non-enlightened are fast asleep. That is why we call the Buddha the awakened one. If the Buddha is the awakened one, we are the ones who are fast asleep. So among them there are wicked, cruel ones like Angulimala, like Alavaka. These are the two famous characters among the humanity at that time. They did all sorts of wicked things, cruel things, violent matters. Angulimala was like a serial killer, killing hundreds of people. But still Buddha found, if I awake him a bit, if I bring him to the awareness a bit, he will be a completely different one. This is the Buddha's function. bringing people to the awareness, assisting, helping people to be aware, to be mindful. This is the function of the Buddha. Because once you are aware, that means once you start waking up, you start laughing, you stop laughing, you stop crying, you stop getting angry, you stop doing all those abnormal things when you start waking up. So Buddha helps even those violent ones like Angulimala, like Alavaka, to wake up a bit. Then they see their fault, their mistakes. When we read the story of Angulimala, it is a very beautiful story. Yeah, I don't have time to explain all those stuff. The story is a long one. But this story is there that Buddha went to meet this Angulimala. Yeah. Angulimala was in such a mental state that he will kill even a Buddha that day. Such a ferocious, devil-like person. But still Buddha went to him. And Angulimala was chasing. But he couldn't catch the Buddha because Buddha made a psychic feat, or he made a determination that no matter how fast Angulimala runs after me, let him not catch me. So ultimately he couldn't catch the Buddha, and he shouted at the Buddha, "Stop, monk, stop, monk. Don't walk anymore." Then the Buddha said, "I have stopped long ago. You are the one, must be stopped." Then this man thought, what does he talking about? I have already stopped. He is walking and telling me to stop. Being curious, he asked, "Why did you test that? Why are you saying so? I have already stopped. You are the one talking." Buddha says, "I am not talking about physical walk. I am talking about your psychological walk. Psychologically, you are still creating formations, creating accumulations within you, which will create suffering for you in the future. I have stopped all those accumulations long ago. That is why I tell you to stop now. Stop those formations of generating unwholesome energy within you. That's what I am telling you." This was enough. This was enough for this murderer to open his eyes a bit. This was enough for him to open to the truth, open to the reality of himself a bit. And he requested, please guide me, please help me, please initiate me. We know that he became a great monk, great arahant later on. So this is the Buddha's taming of the people. He did not tame people just to suppress or control or just to dominate them. Buddha didn't want to dominate anyone. He tamed those people just to bring them to the right path, right track. Yeah. All sorts of people he had to meet. The cunningmost people, so cunning, most egoistic people, so arrogant because of their wealth, because of their physical strength, because of their political power. And there were some people who didn't have any of those things, but because of the ignorant being their weakness, they were not ready to accept the right path, right track. They were not ready to accept the Dhamma because of being ignorant. At that time, the society was in twofold. majority of the society, majority of the world, just like today, were engulfed in the sensual pleasures. Sensual pleasures, pleasing the five senses, was the ultimate goal for everybody. Now, we have to understand that we are here today. We are born in this realms of sensual pleasures. What are the realms of sensual pleasures? I explained it to you last week also. There are two types of realms of sensual pleasures. One is Kama Dugati, where you suffer most, the four hells, animal realm, Preta realm, Asura realm, and the Apaya or Niraya. Niraya, I explained to you, there are 168 types of hells are there. Multiplying the 8 types of hells, Sanjiva, Kala, Sutta, Sangahata, Roro, Maharoro, Tapana, Mahatapana, Avici. These 8 types of hell multiplied by 5 hells, each of the 8, at each side of the 4 sides of the 4 sides, each of the 4 sides of one hell, there is 5 hells. So multiplied by 20 hells by 8, we get 168. 160, then together with the 8 hells, 168. So these are the Kama Dugati, or the suffering side of the sensual pleasures, realms of sensual pleasures. Then comes the Kama Sugati, human realm. Then Chatum Maharajika, Yama, Thavatinsa Yama Tusta, Nimmandati Paranimmita Vasavatti. 7 types of Kama Sugati, blissful realms of sensual pleasures. So we are in the realms of sensual pleasures, human realm. We are born here because of our attachment to the sensual pleasures. If we have got rid of the attachment to the sensual pleasures in our past life, we won't be here. We won't be away from the realms of sensual pleasures, that is the Brahma realm. But we were not fulfilled in our past lives. With our effort to fulfill the sensual pleasures, we died unfulfilled with the desires to fulfill the sensual pleasures. In this life, what are we trying to do? Trying to fulfill, trying to complete our pleasures of the senses somehow, to the best of our effort. But can anybody be fulfilled by trying to fulfill the pleasures? No one ever completed or fulfilled the sensual pleasures. Everybody died being unfulfilled, being dejected, being not enough. And if somebody does good deeds in this state of mind, sometimes they do good deeds just to have more in their future lives, what they couldn't have here. So we are stuck in this mentality of pleasing the senses. Now Buddha is trying to get us out of this submerged level of consciousness, submerged in the pleasures that we gain through the senses. Buddha is trying to pull us out. Are we ready for it? Buddha is teaching us, I am teaching you a pleasure beyond the sense pleasures, beyond the senses, without being connected with the senses, that you can still be enjoying, being happy, being pleased. I am trying to teach you that. I am trying to get you that kind of pleasure, which is beyond the sensual pleasures, which can be more No matter how much we please these five senses, eye, nose, tongue, and the body, we are still not satisfied. Yeah. We think if we cannot satisfy these five senses, at least we can satisfy our senses in our next life. That's why we created heavens. Heavens to fulfill our pleasures of the senses. With the desire to fulfill the pleasures of the senses, we created those heavens. How can the Buddha take us out? The second group of people, which is a minority, who are fed up with this kind of effort to please the five senses, they went to the forests. They left the household lives and they started searching a method to find the eternal, everlasting happiness based on the sensual pleasures. In their trying to find this eternal happiness, eternal freedom, what happened? Unknowingly, they were trapped into another bondage. What do we call the views? All sides of views, all types of views. There were 62 views. Buddha called them heretical views. Why did the Buddha say they are heretical views? Micchaditti. Because those views entrapped them rather than liberating them. Those views never liberated them. They just entrapped them. And those people couldn't get out of those views. It is like putting them in a room without windows, without doors, without having the capability to go out. They are entrapped in a room. Now all what they know is this room, nothing else. And whatever you tell them beyond the room, beyond this confinement, are not acceptable for them. They are entrapped in that room. This is a psychological prison. Giving a view is giving a prison, psychological prison. That is why there are 5 heinous crimes: killing mother, killing father, killing an arahant, matricide, patricide, and killing an arahant, shedding the blood of the Buddha, disuniting the Sangha. These are the 5 heinous crimes. The 6th heinous crime is giving a belief, giving a view to somebody, or putting a person in the trap, in the prison of a view. They cannot think beyond that. They are imprisoned in it. They are enslaved by that view. And very hard, even for a Buddha, to take them out from that view, to tame them to the people who have no view. From the view to the no view was very difficult for the Buddha. But without being a person who have no view, you cannot be liberated. There is no liberation. Liberation is for everything. If you are entrapped in a view, if you are having a view, how can you say that you are liberated? You are imprisoned in it. It was so hard for the Buddha to liberate those people. So these are the 2 categories of people at that time, who were entrapped in the sensual pleasures and who were entrapped in the views. And there were people among them very egoistic. Yeah, very proud of their wealth, of their powers, physical powers, political powers. They were very proud, full of ego. They were not ready to accept the Buddha. They completely created boundaries without letting the Buddha approach to them. These ego, their pride is nothing but a boundary, a big wall. They did not accept the Buddha. Yeah? And there were people who were very cunning, especially the knowledgeable type of people. Very knowledgeable, very well educated, they know much. And their very knowledgeability created a great cunningness in them. And they were also not ready to accept the Buddha. Yeah. Now, in the suttas, we can find these incidents. Sometimes Buddha gives a talk, and some people, in the middle of the talk, excusing themselves, Venerable Sir, we have much to do. We have to attend to some business. Please, let us go. Let me go. And they never came back to the Buddha. Those businesses are nothing but trivia. And they could not even be patient and wait until the Buddha finishes his teaching. We can imagine how much they were submerged in the sensual pleasures. The reason is, in their sansaric life, when they were like us in the sansara, they never created some inclination towards the cultivation of the spirituality. They have completely forgotten about this inner being, the spirituality. They were all about sensual pleasures. There is nothing harm. Your effort to fulfill your sensual desires. But meanwhile, you must have some time, some effort to fulfill this spiritual side also. If you have a little bit of effort to fulfill those spiritual cultivations, then by and by, you are getting yourself ready for the Buddha. One day, if you happen to come across a Buddha, and the Buddha calls you, then you are ready. But if we are not ready for the Buddha, spiritually empty, all about sensual pleasures, then lifetime to lifetime our habit pattern will grow up, will develop. Then the Buddha cannot help us. Remember, we have to be ready for the Buddha. Not that the Buddha have to be ready. Buddha has to be ready for us. Yeah? He is already enlightened. He is already liberated. His effort to help others to be liberated is just out of compassion. Yeah? It is just his compassion. It is an act of compassion. We have to be ready for the Buddha. If we are ready for the Buddha, we are so obvious for the Buddha. Once Buddha said, it is reported to have said, he has said this, even you are holding on to my robe, to the hem of my robe, and coming after me, you can be oblivious to me. Why? You are not ready for the enlightenment. You haven't have the inclination, familiarity, closeness to the enlightenment. But even a person living thousands of miles away, if he is capable of understanding what I am saying and transforming his life and get his own liberation, then he is more obvious for me. I can see him better. I can feel him better. His Buddhahood is so obvious for me. We have to be ready for him. How to be ready? In Theravada teaching, in our teachings, we say, fulfilling the perfections, parami. Fulfilling the parami is to become ready for the Buddha. But in our normal, general understanding, we are becoming ready for the Buddha by cultivation of our spirituality. When the Buddha calls us that we can give up all those attachments to the sensual pleasures, all those attachments to the worldly, mundane types of living that we have, if we can let go and answer the Buddha's call, then we are so fortunate. Just think, those people who interrupted the Buddha in the middle of his talk and left the Buddha, they might be still wandering in the samsara, jumping from one body to another. Sometimes being born as an animal, sometimes in the hell, sometimes in the heaven, sometimes in the physical human body. Jumping from one body to another, they are still wandering in the samsara. Their miss is great. They lost a golden opportunity to stop that cycle of suffering completely. But they lost it. Why? They were not ready for the Buddha, in the sense they were still submerged in the trivia of sensual pleasures. Buddha's duty is just to create awareness. When you are aware, when you are mindful, that means you are not attached to it anymore. That's what he does. Yeah. That's what he does in the sense of taming others. So he tamed all sorts of people. Whoever is capable of understanding his Dhamma, he finds them in the morning, early morning, when he wakes up, 2 hours of sleep. Meditative absorption that he absorbed into, that meditative absorption, that jhana is called Mahakaruna. Into this absorption, and he spread his net of compassion throughout the world, looking for a particular person or a group of people that he can be a help on that particular day. Now, who are these particular people? These people are the people who are ready for the Buddha. Remember, ready for what? Ready for their own liberation. And what is Buddha's help? Buddha's help is just to wipe out that little bit of dust in their eyes for the truth. Creating awareness in them, creating mindfulness in them, and helping them to find their own liberation. Yeah? Buddha had 2 methods of creating awareness in them. First and the foremost effort is teaching the Dhamma. Teaching the Dhamma. He had a very unique method of teaching. This teaching was so effective. Whoever listened to this teaching transformed within themselves. Even attain to the first stage of sainthood. Open the Dhamma eye, or the eye of the Dhamma, Dhamma Chakkung Udapadi. Attain to the first stage of sainthood is to happen with that opening of the Dhamma eye. Sotapanna. or Sotapatti happens. That is the first stage of sainthood. Sota means ear. Apanna, falling. Falling into the ear. The Buddha's words came into them, and they let that Dhamma come into them in its original force, without judging the Buddha's teaching with their own understanding or own knowledge. Without prejudgment, they let that Dhamma come into them. And once they let that Dhamma come into them, that Dhamma changed them, transformed them. They became Sotapanna, being sure to attain Nibbana at most within 7 lifetimes. So we have to be ready for the Buddha, then Buddha will find them. This is the Buddha's help, nothing else, to find the people who are ready for the enlightenment, ready for the Nibbana, and help them to attain Nibbana, to the stages of Nibbana. This is the Buddha's help, and that was his search. That is what he did for 45 years. Every day he will find, he will look for a suitable person to help. And that person may be a criminal, that person may be an egoistic person, very proud person. All these are periphery level, limited to the periphery level, limited to the boundary. Inside of those people were ready for the Buddha. In that particular life, they have created all those personas, all those character types. But the inner being was ready for the Buddha. That is why Buddha felt them. Angulimala, Buddha felt this man is ready. Alavaka, he felt this man is ready. This man is ready for me. But they were criminals in the eyes of the others. Now, Purisa Dhamma Sarathi usually translate as men. Purisa is men. But it doesn't mean women are not included. There were women, there were ladies who were not ready to accept the Buddha, who were trying to run away from the Buddha. Now, a beautiful example is there. The Queen Kema, the queen consort of king of the Magadha, Bimbisara. She was so beautiful, and she heard that the Buddha is talking about the impermanence of the beauty, the dangers of this physical body, the attachment to the physical body can create danger, and the disgusting part of the physical body. Buddha is talking about that. So she rejected. Being so proud and attached to her beauty, she rejected seeing the Buddha. Her husband, the king, tried many times to bring his wife to see the Buddha, but she was also always rejecting. But somehow it so happened that she came across, while walking in the park of Veluvana, she came across the Buddha. And the Buddha made a kind of a illusory image was created, that a beautiful girl standing next to the Buddha was fanning the Buddha while Buddha was giving a talk. Now, this queen, who is so attached to the beauty, seeing that beautiful girl fanning the Buddha, she was kind of attached or liked that beautiful lady so much, that beauty of her, and she started approaching the Buddha little by little, Then the Buddha made this created illusory image of this beautiful girl to grow, to become old faster. And while this queen is watching, that beautiful girl is becoming middle-aged and more getting old, now getting sick, becoming so weak, now so old, and falling down. Fell down dead in front of her. Now this vision was so effective in the eyes of the queen. She just lost her attachment to the beauty. It is going to happen to me also. This awareness was created in her. And with that awareness, she lost all her attachment. And then she went to the king and asked his permission. I want to get closer to this Dhamma more. Please let me be initiated under the Buddha. She became a nun. She became an Arahant nun. And later on, she became the most wisest nun among all the nuns in the Buddha's dispensation. It was Buddha's method to create the awareness which is counteracting your defilement. When you are being aware of your own weaknesses, then you can be liberated from it. This is how Buddha tamed people. Those people who were the difficult types, wicked, cruel, violent, and also those people who were cunning, who were proud, who were arrogant. All these people were tamed by the Buddha in the same method, not by miracles. Miracles were not the Buddha's favorite area. He was not a great promoter of those miracles. He was not depending on the miracles. And he even prohibited his students to show miracles, psychic powers to the others. Because miracles will just tame people on the surface level. But the depth of their lives will be just remaining as ever. The depth of their being, the center of their lives will be changed only through the awareness. Created awareness to the truth is the only way to change their lives permanently. Yeah. That's why Buddha is always used this miracle of teaching, Desana Patiharya, to tame people, to change people, not just to dominate them or suppress them, but to bring them to the right direction. So, Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati, Buddha is the incomparable tamer of men for their liberation. This incomparable leadership of the Buddha was directed for all of the humanity who were not willing to, who were suppressed or who were entrapped in those worldly traps like sensual pleasures or views, or all sorts of character types they have created in their lives, but inside, in the inner being of themselves, they were ready for the Buddha because they have cultivated the necessary spiritual requirement to be guided by the Buddha and to be enlightened. And those people who were obvious for the Buddha, who were at the sight of the Buddha's vision, they were liberated by the Buddha. But of course, Buddha had to tame them first. His taming ability of those people who deserve his taming was incomparable with anybody else in the world, including kings, Brahmins, including Devas or Brahmas. Hence, his taming ability, with incomparable taming ability, Buddha tamed the people just to direct them to the Nibbana. Because of this, because people were so aware of this ability of the Buddha, they noticed, the populace noticed this ability of the Buddha, and they called him Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati, the incomparable leader of taming others who should be tamed. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhe digayuko bhava. There's a notice that we are going to do our chanting, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, at the Buddha statue, Samadhi Buddha statue. So please wait for us until the arrangement happens. Sadhu, sadhu.